Hi guys, in this video I'm going to go through the existing home sales report along with two complementary reports, pending home sales and housing affordability. These reports come out from the National Association of Realtors. They come out monthly. When you click on the link in Blackboard, it's going to take you to this page. I want you to scroll down and look for the overview section. So you'll see this, click on overview, and then we want to go into existing home sales PDF. When you do that, you're going to see this report. The top report shows sales, and then the bottom report shows sales price. Let's first look at sales. So we've got years here. Actually 2017, 2018, 2019, and then we have 2019 and 2020 by month. So the U.S. as a whole, this shows the number of existing home sales in those periods. An existing home sale is where a seller has transferred ownership to a buyer of an existing home. Existing homes are contrasted from new homes. They make up about 80% of all housing sales. So again, this does not include the sale of new homes from a developer. It's existing homes from private parties. Let's look at February 2020. There was 5,770,000 existing home sales in that month. But again, that is an annual rate. So to get the actual number, we would divide this by 12. If you do that, you should get 480,833. So that would be the monthly amount of homes that sold for February. It also gives us at the bottom percentage changes. So we're up 6.5% versus January. So from here to here is a 6.5% increase, and we're up 7.2% from last February, from this number to this number. So these are both really strong numbers and show that there's a lot of activity going on over those periods in home sales. Also breaks it down by different regions: the Northeast, the Midwest, the South, and the West. We would obviously be the West, and you can see the numbers are even more significant there. You can ignore this data because it's not seasonally adjusted. We're not really worried about that. Scroll over here to inventory. Inventory is the number of homes that are actually available for sale. This is not an annualized figure. Okay. So, for example, in February 2020, there were 1,470,000 homes that were available for sale, hence the inventory for that month. Okay. Inventory is up 5% from the prior month, and inventory is down 9.8% from the prior year. If you look over here at the month supply, this tells us how many months it would take for the inventory to be purchased and taken off the market. So for example, in February 2020, we had a 3.1 month supply, which means it would take, based on current sales, it would take 3.1 months for this inventory to be sold. A lower number indicates a tightening housing market. It suggests that there's not a lot of inventory relative to the sales that are occurring. When we say low, we usually mean below 4.5 months. If you get a higher number, which these are all pretty low, but if you get a higher number, say above 6, then that would suggest that there's a lot of inventory on the market and it's not moving. So that might be a harbinger of lower prices to come in the future. Notice that from February of 2019 to February of 2020, we're down almost 14% in month supply. That suggests a tightening housing market and, again, potentially higher prices. I want you to keep in mind that these numbers are not only affecting housing, but they're affecting the overall economy. Housing is the biggest purchase people make, and that spills over into many areas of the economy. So when there's a tight housing market, prices tend to go up, creating a wealth effect for those that own homes, and people go out and spend more. So it has a stimulus to the overall economy. Let's scroll down and take a look at the sale price of existing homes. Same kind of setup here. You got the past years and then the months here. This data on the left is median price data, whereas on the right you have average or mean price data. With housing, this is going to be more skewed. the median is not skewed. So for February 2020, we had $270,100 as the median price home, which means half of all homes in that month sold for less than 270 and half sold for more than 270. That's up 8% from the prior year. And so if you were to go from February 2019 to February 2020, that change from 250,100 to 270,100 would be 8% higher. So that's not surprising. Remember, up here we saw a tight housing market, low inventory levels, monthly inventory levels. So that all fits with higher prices. And then it gives the regional data. Note that the lowest prices are in the Midwest, and not surprising there. And then the highest prices are in the West. Okay? And then if you scroll over here, you have the mean. You can compare the mean to the median. So for example, if we look at the U.S. as a whole, the mean is 305,800 for February, but the median is 270,100. Well, if the mean is higher than the median, you have a rightward skew, an upward skew, meaning that you've got some really expensive homes that are pulling up these outliers. These high-price homes are pulling up the mean above the median. Okay, now let's go back to the first page. I want you to scroll down to pending home sales, and you can click on this link here. And when you do that, it's going to pull up this report. Pending home sales are sales that are pending. So a buyer and a seller have entered into an agreement for the sale of the home, but that agreement has not been completed. That process from entering into agreement and the closing is called the escrow process. So pending home sales are what we might say in escrow. Same kind of format here, but these are index numbers. For January 2020, you'll notice the index is 108.8 for the overall US. Well, the index is benchmarked to 2001, meaning that pending home sales are 8% higher than 2001. We usually aren't comparing base year to the current period, so we would just take the index from a prior period and compare that in percentage terms to the current period. And if you do that, you get 5.2% increase in pending home sales from December 2019 to January 2020. And then you get 5.7% increase in pending home sales from January 2019 to January 2020. Higher pending home sales is somewhat of a leading indicator of sales that will be completed in the future. So you can think of pending home sales as giving us insight into what's going to show up in the existing home sales later on. Because remember, existing home sales are captured at closing, whereas this is pending. This is prior to closing. All right, now let's go back to our initial page on housing statistics. And we've covered existing home sales, we've covered pending home sales. Now let's look at housing affordability. If you click on this link, you're going to get this data. Okay. Housing affordability is a very important indicator because as prices go up, less and less people are often able to purchase a home. And this can help us understand if housing is reaching a peak. The housing prices can only move up as fast as income and employment will allow them to. So there's usually a lid on how high housing prices can go, and housing affordability index helps us understand that. Now, there's a wide variation in regional data because clearly some home prices are astronomical in certain cities compared to other cities. We'll look at that in a minute. Take a look at the data from January 2020. Okay. So the first column shows us the median price of an existing single-family home. It's $268,600. Right. The next column shows us the mortgage rate, 3.68 were mortgage rates. Now, this 3.68 is based on a mortgage that's traditional, which means it's a 30-year loan. You put 20% down, and you have fixed interest rate for that entire period. That's the typical way that people finance housing. So with that kind of loan, you would be paying every month principal, be paying some of that money back, and you'd be paying interest. So P&I stands for principal and interest. And if you did want to buy this home, this median price home, at that interest rate with a traditional mortgage, you would pay $987 per month. The next column shows the payment as a percentage of income. Or what income? The median family income. In January 2020, the median family income was $79,796. So if you take this $987 and you turn it into a yearly figure and then divide it by the median family income, you should get 14.8%. Okay. Let me go ahead and do that. I'll take 987. I'm going to multiply that by 12, and I'm going to divide that by 79,796. Okay. Pull this over here to show you. So there's the formula, and click on equal, and you'll notice we'll multiply it by 100 to show it as a percent. It's 14.8%. So it means that buying this home with 20% down at this interest rate with this monthly payment would be almost 15% of the median family income. Now the next column shows qualifying income. Qualifying income is the income that would be necessary to qualify to buy this home, to get that loan at this interest rate with this payment to actually afford that priced home. And it's $47,376. So you need $47,376 in family income to afford this home, but the actual median family income is $79,796. So clearly the median family income is more than enough to afford the median price home in the US. The last column shows the affordability index, and this is in essence the percent of qualifying income that the median family income makes up. So you can calculate this by taking 79,796 and dividing it by 47,376 and then multiplying by 100. And let me do that here to show you. If I take 79,796 and divide that by 47,376, okay, and then I'll multiply by 100. That gives me 168, okay, which is what we have right here. So that means that the median income is 168% of the qualifying income. So if it was 100%, then that means it'd be the same. So the median family income would be the income necessary to qualify for a loan to buy this home. But there's actually a lot more income for the median family than is necessary to qualify. So for the U.S. as a whole, even though housing prices are high, the affordability is still there, right? Because 168% is the median income relative to the qualifying income. Lastly, if you go back to the Housing Affordability Index page and scroll down, go to Metropolitan Index, and then click on the link, you'll get these affordability indexes for each region. And let's take a look at 2018, the most recent data. And so let's scroll down and find San Diego here. So for San Diego, you'll notice it's 71.6. So that means that the median income in San Diego is 71.6% of the qualifying income. Okay. It does get better than that in some areas. So if you go to, let's say, Amarillo, Texas, it's 207. So that means the median income is 207% of the qualifying income. In other words, the typical family has twice the income necessary to afford the typical home. And then there's even higher numbers, Birmingham, New York, and you can look through this and find others, but you'll find that San Diego and the big cities in the country are quite expensive. All right, that's it for this report. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Thanks.